Hello and welcome to the Coral Futures Q&A presented by Australian Geographic. If you have any questions, an Australian Geographic team member will be live in the chat box to answer anything that you might be curious about. This December, be one of only 60 like-minded explorers setting sail to help safeguard the reef for generations to come. This will be a rare opportunity to combine personal exploration with meaningful action to preserve the ocean's biodiversity. Imagine this, every morning you wake up to views of the Great Barrier Reef, learn directly from marine scientists and get hands-on conservation experience. Enjoy chef-prepared meals that emphasize freshness and seasonality paired with curated beverages. You have the opportunity to make a meaningful impact on the preservation of the stunning reef whilst enjoying your exploration in luxury. Something that I'm really excited with this expedition is the expert hosts we have joining you on this trip. We have 6 experts and 3 special guests joining this expedition. The expedition will be led by Dr. Dean Miller, coral reef scientist, conservation leader, and founder of the Forever Reef Project. They have collected a majority of the 415 coral species to be found on the reef and have created a living biobank in its purpose-built premises in Port Douglas, which you will have the opportunity to visit on the trip. Joining Dean is Kate Tuesley, expedition leader and master reef guide. Dr. Robin Beeman, a marine geologist who specialises in mapping and revealing Australia's underwater landscapes. Murray Hunt, a wildlife guide and bird expert with deep mangrove knowledge. Andrew Ryan, a marine scientist educator who specialises in linking land use and conservation of reefs. And last but certainly not least, Brett Lobwin, an award-winning ocean photographer and passionate marine conservation advocate. Joining our experts will be special guest David Haslingden, the owner of Australian Geographic, writer, director, actor and advocate for sustainable farming, Rachel Ward AM, and actor, producer and writer, Brian Brown AM. This voyage kicks off with a pre-cruise overnight stay in Cairns on December 3rd, 2025, before we set sail the following day. Over 7 days, you'll experience a beautiful blend of adventure, discovery, and impact. It's a hands-on mission to understand, protect, and preserve one of the planet's most awe-inspiring ecosystems. From snorkeling vibrant coral gardens to enjoying sunset drinks on a remote sand cay, you'll also take part in real-world conservation efforts supporting initiatives like the Forever Reef Project, Coral Watch, and Taronga Blue. You'll help survey coral colonies, learn about reef health, document biodiversity, and witness firsthand the science behind reef restoration, all while soaking in the magic of the reef. There are only a few spots left, so if you're craving an adventure with purpose and want to contribute to conservation efforts on the Great Barrier Reef, then this trip is for you. Now, we're going to be answering some of the questions you've submitted and also chatting with your expedition leader, Dr. Dean Miller. Thanks, Dean. Over to you.
Thanks so much, Roxy. I can't wait to be back on board the ship and explore some of my favourite parts of the Great Barrier Reef. Now, let's have a quick look at the questions you sent through and see if we can provide some answers. So what is the Forever Reef Project? Well, it's right here in front of me, and guests will be able to come in and actually experience this themselves. The Forever Reef Project is essentially a coral ark. So our mission is to collect all 415 species of Great Barrier Reef corals and keep them alive in our state-of-the-art holding facilities here in Port Douglas. And that's for their ultimate conservation, but also to make living fragments, genetic material and tissue samples available for reef research and restoration efforts. So think of it as an insurance policy for the future as we continue to have mass coral bleaching events, not only here on the Great Barrier Reef, but around the world. This is our ability to look after and protect the biodiversity of corals in Australia and worldwide. So essentially that is the Forever Reef Project. It's the largest living coral biobank facility in the world. It's the only one in Australia and we're extremely proud of it. It's the most biodiverse collection of corals outside of the Great Barrier Reef or anywhere in the world for that matter, and the guests will be able to come in and experience this facility in all its glory. So we're very, very excited about sharing that.
Another question we have is, how does citizen science make a difference on the Great Barrier Reef?
How can citizen science help the Great Barrier Reef? Well, that's a fantastic question. And look, the Great Barrier Reef is a very, very big place. It's 344,000 square kilometres, So it's extremely large. There are over 3,000 individual reefs. It extends all the way from the Torres Strait down to Bundaberg. And so there aren't simply enough scientists out there to collect all the data on how well the reef is doing on any one given day. However, we do have an amazing ability to use citizen scientists to help us collect data. And the things that we're actually looking for are reef health indicators. So these are species or signs of health on the reef that give us a snapshot or an insight to how well any one given reef site is doing in space and time. And obviously the more of these citizen science surveys you do, the better the picture is on how well that site is actually going through time. So some of the things that we'll be looking for is coral health. We'll be using the Coral Watch survey program to monitor coral health and vitality. We'll be using the rapid survey methodology to look for indicator species like turtles, fishery target species, crown of thorn starfish, for instance. We'll be doing the Mangrove Watch survey to get a really good assessment, and some for the first time ever, up into the far northern sections of the Great Barrier Reef on the mangrove systems up in some of the island locations that we're visiting. So it's going to be an amazing trip for participation and collecting some extremely valuable data.
Can you tell us about what is coral spawning and why is this so important?
Well, that's a very good question. So coral spawning is, well, it's the largest sexual event on the planet. It's a mass spawning event. So basically corals can't get up and walk around and meet each other out there on the Great Barrier Reef. They're stuck to the substrate. So they've come up with a nifty way of actually reproducing. They wait for, roughly 4 nights after the full moon, and they time it with the tide and water temperature, and essentially they release eggs and sperm en masse, and I'm talking the entire length of the Great Barrier Reef, by the way, where we're talking millions and millions and millions and millions of sperm and egg packets being released in a sort of 4 to 5 day window, even on the trip that we're going to be on. So look, it's an amazing thing to see. As I said, it's the largest sexual event on the planet. So I'm very, very excited. I've seen it many, many times, and it is just one of those marvels of nature. Think of it like an underwater, colourful reverse snowstorm, or the northern or southern lights underwater. It is absolutely phenomenal, and we'll have our research team in the water documenting every part of this spawning event, and hopefully we'll get the chance to put passengers in the water as well. So it happens at night time. It's very, very special. It's only for a few nights every year, and it really is the Great Barrier Reef's way of reproducing and replenishing the stock of corals. And as we know, the Great Barrier Reef is doing a little tough right now, so this spawning event is one of the most key moments in terms of coral health and survival. So extremely important, and just so lucky that it times perfectly with the trip that we're going to be on. So I'll leave it there for now. Over to you, Roxy, and thank you so, so much.
Thanks, Dean. I know everyone is really looking forward to meeting you whilst on board and really getting to understand citizen science. So now we're going to answer some of your questions about the ship itself. The first question is, how big is the ship and how many guests are on this expedition? It's a great question and one that we get asked a lot. So you'll be traveling aboard the newly refurbished Coral Discoverer, which boasts over 1,000 square meters of open deck space and accommodates a maximum of 60 guests. Groups are intentionally kept small to create a relaxed, intimate atmosphere that larger ships simply can't offer. Plus, Coral Expedition's maneuverable shallow draft tender vessels allow us to reach remote and hidden destinations with ease. As I mentioned earlier, there are only a few cabins left, so if this trip is really singing out to you, make sure you book your spot at coralexpeditions.com. The next question is, how do we get ashore easily if we are visiting these remote areas? Another great question. One of the exciting opportunities of this expedition is the access to the farthest reaches of the Great Barrier Reef, which we can access with Coral Expedition's shallow draft, quick disembarkment vessels like the Explorer. These beauties make it easy to access remote locations without compromising comfort or safety. Now let's roll a short video of how amazing the Explorer really is.
All the ships in the Coral Expeditions fleet, they feature explorer tenders. They're located on the back of the vessel and they're boarded from deck level.
We are one of the only companies in the world that have the Explorer system.
The ability to walk on board from the lower deck, seat safely, and they lower the whole outfit into the water is just, in my experience, quite unique. So, well done to the designers.
And away they go for the expedition.
They take you off the boat and you experience something that you've never experienced before.
We have a very shallow draft which allows us to get in very close and drop all of our guests right onto the tracks that they're going to go on.
There's a platform at the front which comes down and the guests can walk straight off onto the beaches or wherever we are landing.
A very easy experience for the guests.
Now let's welcome our second guest, Murray Hunt. Murray is a professional wildlife guide with a specific passion for birds and mangroves. Thanks, Murray. Over to you.
G'day, I'm Murray. I'm part of the upcoming Australian Geographic expedition, but today I'm hot and sweaty on the Daintree River. Down there you've got World Heritage Great Barrier Reef. Upstream you've got World Heritage Rainforest. But nestled in between you've got this thin little band of a really important ecosystem, mangroves. Mangroves in general are the really unsung, mud-loving environmental protection agents. And they're working 24/7 to try to keep that barrier reef safe. Their role, they're trying to control erosion, they're trying to protect from pollution, and they're trying to protect from the ever-creeping chaos of climate change. Their weapons, they've got a big tangled mass of roots. They've also got an incredible ability to store carbon. In general, taking carbon from the atmosphere, storing it in their roots, but also in the mud. The key point is underwater, oxygen deprived, and so that the organic matter there decomposes really slowly, so the carbon can be captured for centuries. The other big thing is this is acting like a dual membrane. When you get big oceans, you get a cyclone, you get big seas, this is a barrier protecting the rainforest. In the other way, when you get big floods coming down the river, these guys are the barrier protecting the barrier reef. They are massive filters. They're a great big filter squad. There are 30 different species of mangrove on the river. They're slowing down the river. They're taking out the sediment. They're taking out all the nasty chemicals to protect that really valuable coral and all the inhabitants out on the ocean. One last thing. That's also an incredible nursery for lots of little critters, particularly little fish. You've got a huge amount of protection there in the roots. You've got a huge amount of food actually falling down the beginning of the food web in the form of leaves before those fish eventually get bigger and then eventually go out to the big blue. So next time you're on the ocean, next time you're loving the coral, just spare a thought for these unsung heroes, the mangroves protecting the barrier reef.
Thanks, Murray. I know everyone is super keen to learn more from you whilst on expedition. The next question is something I'm sure you're all keen to know about. What are some of the main activities we'll be doing whilst on tour? Your itinerary is a lovely combination of adventure and relaxation. With that in mind, it is important that guests do have a moderate level of fitness and mobility, as some days are more active than others. So these are some of the highlights of the trip that are seriously show-stopping. The chance to witness and learn about the spectacular annual coral spawning event during the full moon, swim, snorkel or dive and witness the vibrant marine life and explore giant clam gardens with marine experts, take part in citizen science monitoring programs like Mangrove and Coral Watch, enjoy sundowners on a remote sand cay or uninhabited island, help marine scientists with surveys and rapid coral health assessments, hike Lizard Island and spot nesting turtles along the beaches, visit Port Douglas Coral Biobank with founder Dr. Dean Miller, the world's first living coral library. And these are just some of the amazing things you can expect to experience on this trip. Now, if that's sounding all too good to be true, you might be wondering what's included in the fare. Well, on this excursion, you can simply set and forget. your fare covers everything that matters most. That includes activities, excursions, meals and drinks, expert guides, taxes and fees. And most importantly, a part of your fare is also contributing to conservation efforts of the Forever Reef Project and the Australian Geographic Society. For over 40 years, Coral Expeditions has operated with a strong and single purpose in mind: to take small groups of like-minded travellers to remote destinations with expert guidance and that warm Australian hospitality that we all know and love, which makes them the perfect partners for Australian Geographic. So with that peace in mind that you're in capable hands, the only thing left to do is book those final spots, and we can't wait to welcome you aboard in December. Thanks, everyone.